All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Harakaha Kodash. I double honors unto the apostles and elders of GMS Great Millstone, and a sincere Shalom to Yakim, bringing out this word in diligence and in truth. 1 second. Now, I want to get into this article here, that I found. There's been a lot of talk about it, but let's get into it. This is from scientificamerican.com, and it reads, first hormone-free male birth control pill shown safe in early human trial. And through the spirit, the reason this is important is because this is just another method of ultimately Esau bringing forth depopulation. See, to the masses, especially Jake, young Jake at that, they look at it as like, oh, I can have all the sex I want, and I'm not going to have it. I'm not going to be able to bring any kids into the world. Now, understand that life is beautiful, man, and to be able to procreate was a commandment unto us. Now, we understand due to the times and the suitable partners, it's not, especially if you don't have children now, and you're a young man or an elder man, as the scripture says, matter of fact. Let's grab this in the book of 1 Corinthians 7. Right, because this is something that your woman will bring up to you. The longer y'all are together, the more bonded y'all are, so to speak. She'll bring up the fact that she will want to have children, which it is beautiful, and ultimately it's all on Yahweh Shai, because brothers who are bringing forth more children into the world, that's just more souls that have to be saved, man. As men and women of Yahweh Shai, the Lord is about to save 144,000 in that great multitude, which is the 1/3. So the Lord is Yahweh Shai is bringing back souls upon the earth, to usher into the chariots, man. Right? Now this is 1 Corinthians 7 and 27. And it reads, art thou bound unto a wife? Seek not to be loosed. Meaning what? If you don't have a woman, or it's like if you have a woman, don't just put her away. Especially if as the scripture says, if she be peaceful or pleasant to dwell with thee, right? It says, art thou loosed from a wife? If you don't have a woman, seek not a wife, right? Because the scriptures are going to tell you the balance within this, the duality, so to speak, right? It says, and if thou marry, thou hast not sinned, right? You're not going off if you get you a woman. And if a virgin marry, she hath not sinned. Nevertheless, such shall have trouble in the flesh, but I spare you. And that's the point. You as a man of Yahweh Shai, your time is now divided by however much percentage, right? Because the scriptures still say that we have to give due benevolence. You still have to, attend to that vessel, so to speak, that woman. But understand, if you're not married, if you don't have a woman, and you can put all your energy and your time into who? Yahweh Shai, in the spirit, of the Lord, in whatever way that your office is deemed fit, man, right? But it says, and if thou marry, thou hast not sinned, and if a virgin marry, she hath not sinned. Nevertheless, such shall have trouble in the flesh, but I spare you. But this I say, brethren, the time is short. Understand that we're close and close into the end, right? It remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they have none. So here the scriptures is grouping up the men with women and the men without women. Because there's a commonality between them both. And that's who? That they're servants of Yahweh Shai. And the duty for us to teach and preach, and as the scripture says, feed my flock. That's the duty of both of those men, regardless of their marital status, right? But it's easier for the man who has more time that he can dedicate unto Yahweh Shai versus the man who has to dedicate time unto that woman, right? It says, but this I say, brethren, the time is short. It remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none, and they that weep as though they wept not, and they that rejoice as though they rejoice not, and they that buy as though they possess not. Now I'm going to jump down. I'm going to read down. It says, and they that use the world as not abusing it, for the fashion of this world passeth away. But I would have you without carefulness. He that is unmarried careth for the things that belong unto Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, how he may please the Lord. But he that is married careth for the things that are of the world, how he may please his wife. Now understand, if you have children, your time is now divided again, right? Which is the point. You know, that's another bill. That's another, like I said, time you have to dedicate. You know, that's another responsibility, right? So it's best, as the elders and apostles tell us, you know, if you can avoid, you know, dealing with a woman to stay focused, then do so, man. You know? Now we understand we're still men, and you gonna do what you're gonna do in terms of, you know, laying with a woman, but don't be silly with your willy, you know? And it's easy, especially when you're a younger man, you know, to be in that mind state, in that mode, you know, to want to deal with a bunch of women. But you'll learn, man. That's not a wise thing. You know, you want to make sure that you're not just out here just popping everything. You know, because as you get older, you see that, hey, man, every woman isn't worthy of your rod, man. Every woman isn't worthy. You have royal seed within you. So, to get back to the point of this article, they're basically trying to cut off, you know, the seed. We already know that Esau can't create. You know, he don't have tough swimmers. He don't have strong swimmers, man. And neither is his woman, you know, the strongest in bringing forth eggs, man. You know, which they have in their body, you know. Now, when Jake get with a Edomite woman, you know, that baby tends to grow up strong. And that's why a lot of Edomite women are trying to seek out Jake. But to cut off your line or your posterity, the Lord did that as a curse to men, you know, as a judgment unto men, cutting off their lineage, cutting off their line. So you taking a pill to suppress what's been rightly given unto you with holy seed within you, you're essentially doing the same thing, man. Right? So it says a hormone-free pill called YCT 529 that temporarily stops sperm production by blocking a vitamin A metabolite has just concluded its first safety trial in humans, getting a step closer to increasing male contraceptive. Hey, now you already got something called a rubber, man. You know, but now E wants to make this contraceptive or this chemical go within you. If you know anything about, as we always bring out, pharmakia, man, this medical industry, or this medical or pharmacy, going back into the word pharmakia, which goes into witchcraft, literally means witchcraft. Hey, you're now ingesting this pill or whatever form orally, you know, you have to put it into your body. And I'll get down to the point. Here this devil tells you there's no side effects, which is BS. Because I want to grab this point here, right? It goes into the science of it. It says, in the first clinical trial of its kind, a non-hormonal oral contraceptive that reversibly stops sperm production has just been deemed safe for human use. The daily pill, called YCT 529, blocks a vitamin A metabolite from binding to its receptor in the testes, right, in the sac. Says this prevents the chain of gene expression changes that are required to start the sperm making process. Now here it is. Esau is messing with your genes directly. So for him to tell you, hey, it's no side effects is BS. Just the fact that it's altering how your testes work in terms of vitamin A shows you that it's side effects, man. That's why the scripture tells us this in the book of, and I'll grab it, Sirach 12 and 10, and it reads, never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Right? Never trust him. Because he always tell you, oh, well, this isn't going to harm you in this way, or this doesn't hurt this way. Meanwhile, hey, he's going to tell Jake the same thing when it comes to the MOTB. Oh, you want your life back? Don't worry, you can get this. You know? It's just going to register you so you can, you know, get your benefits, so you can feed your family, so you can get your housing back, so you can continue with your job. And people are going to be like, what? It's nothing big? And they're going to accept it, man. Right? So never trust this devil, because his plots, his schemes, his methodia, as the scripture says, right? His devices, they're always to hurt and harm you. This devil does nothing for his benefit. Does not the scripture say this? Matter of fact, I believe it's in the book of Jeremiah. So like it. To whom, as the scripture says, he that is evil unto himself, to whom will he do good? It's like he that is evil unto himself, to whom will he do good? So like it, let me find this really quick. This one right here. I think maybe mixing them. But this is the point. Jeremiah 13:23. Can the Ethiopian change his skin, or the leopard his spots? Then may ye also do good that are accustomed to do evil. Right? Esau's nature is to be devious. It's to be a devil. It's to be cunning. It's to be wicked. We can go on and on with all these synonyms, man. That's just his nature. See, Jake just looks at it as this topic or this article, as a form of, oh, well, I can still get the pleasure without having the consequences. Well, no, man. Because you still got STDs, STIs that are around. So now you being willing, saying, oh, well, I ain't got no baby from it. Yeah, but now you burning, man. Now you got other health complications on top of, your nuts not working properly. Right? So what I did, because, and I'll read this again, but I'll go into what I looked up on ChatGPT, right? It says the daily pill called YCT529 blocks a vitamin A metabolite from binding to its receptor in the testes. This prevents the chain of gene expression changes that are required to start the sperm-making process. Safety results from the early phase 1 clinical trial were published on Tuesday in Communications Medicine. Now, it said the trial did not assess the pill's efficacy in reducing sperm, and the drug's developer, Your Choice Therapeutics, is currently running trials to collect that data. So they still don't have all that data. But here it is. When you go further down, it tells you the research team didn't note any adverse side effects related to the drug. Of course not. And an advantage of a non-hormonal contraceptive medication is that, in theory, there's a smaller chance of certain side effects such as changes to sexual function, libido, or mood. Manowetz. And you see with that last name, man. You see with that last name right there, right? It says the results are exciting and important, Paige says, but she points out that this was just one small trial. I think it would be overstating the data to say they don't, or it's like data to say they know much about side effects yet. No, that read funny. I'm gonna read it again. I think it would be overstating the data to say they know much about side effects yet. She says, every medication on the market has side effects. Exactly. But you see, they're telling you it don't. Right? It's a smaller chance. Right? Now, what I did is I went here on ChatGPT because the point they brought out is the fact that vitamin A metabolite. So let's look up. I said, what side effects happen if your vitamin A is blocked in your body to create sperm? It says if your body can't use vitamin A properly, whether because it's blocked, severely deficient, or can't be converted into its active form, your sperm production can be affected in some very specific ways. Direct impact on sperm creation. Vitamin A, specifically its active metabolite, retinoic acid, is essential for the early stages of sperm cell development in the testes. Without it, spermatogonia, the seed cells that make the sperm, can't properly divide and mature. So here it is. If Jake end up going raw on something, and the pill don't fully work, and even saying that sounds crazy, man. Men, taking pills to stop their seed from seeding, right? But nevertheless, you taking that pill and thinking or trusting fully within the science, because that's what Jake always does. They trust in the science. But you doing that, now all of a sudden, your kid, knowing that your sperm is messed up from this because the genes are altered, ultimately. Now, hey, what happens if you have a baby that comes out with 3 arms, man? or half a brain or something, because Esau is ultimately turning this into a science experiment, and Jake specifically is going to run with it, man. Jake's drive is out of this world, man. Even when we go into the book of Exodus, right? We read here we go. Exodus 1:12, it says, but the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And Jake is hurting. So when Jake is hurting, a pain relief or a stress relief, it's to bust it, man. It's to bust one, right? So Jake is exactly going to do that. Now they're going to think they're so protected, by just not having a baby, but now you're internally messed up. Who knows how it's going to alter your brain or the rest of your body, right? It says, but the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew, and they were grieved because of the children of Israel, right? Now, going back here, it says this can cause low sperm count or even complete absence of sperm and semen, right? So you shooting blanks. It says structural abnormalities in sperm. Even if some sperm are made, they may misshapen, have defective tails, or move poorly, making fertilization difficult. Hormonal ripple effects. The testes respond to signals from the brain, and a vitamin A block can disrupt these signals indirectly, which may lower testosterone, there it is, or throw off the timing of sperm cell cycles, right? So it can mess up and lower your testosterone. And understanding that the testosterone levels that we have today are not even in comparison to, what we had in the ancient days, man. We're significantly lower. They say even a healthy, gym going male is still low for what the testosterone we had, in our first estate or even a little further from that, It says fertility consequences. Over time, sperm production can drop to near zero. This is actually why some experimental male contraceptives try to block retinoic acid, because it can stop sperm production without affecting libido at first. Now it says other body signs, right? This is what Esau didn't speak about. Vitamin A deficiency affects more than sperm. Poor vision. So here it is. You were worried about your seeds. Hey, now you can't see, right? Especially at night. Dry eyes, skin, or mucous membranes. Frequent infections. There it is. Direct correlation, man. Delayed wound healing. So, trust me, man. Don't slack it. Don't trust me, but trust the scriptures. Trust Yahweh Shemel Shai when the scriptures tell you, this man is wicked. There's no benefit to that. Now, we see that Jake is creating straightforward monsters, in terms of, these little children that's growing up, and less of them would be beautiful. But nevertheless, man, Yahweh Shemel Shai is creating the wicked, for the day of evil, That's why the scripture says, It says, the multitude, second Esdras 9, that was born in vain, the end of that generation, paraphrasing. There's second Esdras 9. And one second. Let the multitude perish that was born in vain. That's how it goes. Yeah. Second Esdras 9:22. Let the multitude perish then which was born in vain, and let my grape be kept, and my plant, for with great labor have I made it perfect. Right? So Jake is being a lot of 2/3 babies, are being born as well. Just to receive thermonuclear judgment as well. But that was the point. Matter of fact, I'm gonna end off with this scripture because we spoke about it being a commandment. Right. This is Genesis 9:7. And you be ye fruitful and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth and multiply therein. Right? And Yahweh spake unto Noah and to his sons with him, saying, and behold, I establish my covenant with you and with your seed after you. Right? Because when you go into the seed, when you go into that word pedigree, it goes into what? The lineage. Right? So Jake is ultimately trying to cut off their lineage just for pleasure. Right? And that word goes back to seed, goes into sperma, which is literally the what Yahweh Shem Shah put it within us. Hey, to be an Israelite man is the best position in the world, man. You are a prince of the power. You come from a line of straight just soldiers for Yahweh Shem Shah, man. You come from a line of men who didn't, give in unto Esau. A line of men who fought for the Lord, man, for his righteousness. You always got the 2/3. But we're fighting for that legacy of men who stood boldly, who stood stiffly, right? But that was the point. I just want to go in on that article a little bit through the Spirit. Lord willing, it was edifying. I want to give all praise, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Harakah Kwadash. A double honors unto the apostles and elders of GMS Great Millstone, and a sincere shalom to Yakim, bringing out this word in diligence and in truth. Shalom.